The Inner Compass Podcast, Living in Resonance, Episode 2, The Science of Safety. Hello, and welcome back to the Inner Compass Podcast. I'm Laurie Lynnsee, and throughout August, we are exploring what it means to live in resonance. If you're new here, I help women in the second half of their life reconnect with themselves so that they can trust their intuition, regulate their nervous system, and live from their own inner wisdom instead of fear, people-pleasing, and self-doubt. Last week we talked about rhythm and frequency. The rhythm of our heartbeat, the rhythm of our breath, the rhythm of the ocean, sound moving through the air, and the rhythms happening inside our bodies all the time. Today I want to take that conversation just a bit deeper. Because when we begin talking about frequency, nervous system regulation, sound, vibration, and healing, there are some really interesting things happening in this research. But there's a lot of information floating around that sounds scientific without necessarily being supported by science. So today I want to separate those two things just a bit. What do we actually know about the nervous system and safety? What does frequency really mean? Is there a particular frequency that creates safety in our body? Can sound and vibration influence pain? And what about things like tuning forks? Because I just bought a set of those tuning forks, and when I opened the box, I realized I had questions too. So today we're exploring the science of safety. Your nervous system is always gathering information before conscious thought. And we tend to think that our brain is making every important decision, but your nervous system is doing an enormous amount of work long before your consciousness understands what's happening. Right now, your body is monitoring your heart rate, your breathing, your blood pressure, temperature, the sounds around you, any movement, faces, voices, changes in your environment. Your body is constantly adjusting. And one of the most important questions your nervous system is asking is, do I need to protect myself right now? Or you may have heard me say before, am I safe? You've probably experienced this. You walk into a room and suddenly something feels off. You may not consciously know why. Maybe someone's facial expression has changed. Maybe voices become quieter. Maybe there is tension in the room. Your brain is incredibly good at detecting patterns. Sometimes you feel the response before you understand the reason. Your heart may speed up, and your stomach tightens. Your shoulders rise, and your breath gets shallow. Your body is already responding. And that's not weakness, that's physiology. One framework that has become very influential in trauma-informed work is the Polyvagal Theory, and it was developed by Dr. Stephen Porges. Porges uses terms like neuroception to describe the idea that our nervous system constantly evaluates clues associated with safety, danger, or threat without requiring conscious thought. Polyvagal theory has become widely used in therapeutic settings because it gives people a language for understanding why they may feel calm and connected at one moment and then activated in another, and sometimes shut down. Now, I want to be responsible here on how I talk about this. Polyvagal theory is a useful framework, but some of its specific psychological and evolutionary claims are still debated among researchers. So I don't think we need to say that polyvagal theory explains absolutely everything. What we can confidently say is this: our psychological state changes the way we experience the world. When we are stressed, our attention changes, our breathing changes, our heart rate changes, our thinking can become narrower. We may become more reactive. And this connects beautifully with the work of another important researcher, neuroscientist Bruce McEwen. McEwen helped develop the concept of the allostatic load. Allostatic load is basically the accumulated wear and tear created when our stress response system remains activated again and again without the opportunity to recover. Our bodies are very good at responding to stress. Stress itself isn't the enemy. The problem is when the body keeps revving its engine and never gets a chance to come back down. And over time, it can affect our sleep, concentration, mood, energy, cardiovascular functions, and our general sense of well-being. This is why somebody will say, I don't know why I'm so tired, or I feel irritated all the time. I can't focus. I feel like I am constantly waiting for something bad to happen. Sometimes the nervous system has simply been carrying too much for too long. Now we're going to get to one of my favorite parts of this conversation, frequency, because we use this word in a lot of different ways. And sometimes we say, I'm raising my frequency. Or we might say that energy feels like a low frequency. That can be spiritual language or metaphorical language. But in physics, frequency has a very specific meaning. A hertz, abbreviated HC, simply means 1 cycle per second. So if a tuning fork vibrates at 128 times every second, that is 128 hertz. If it vibrates 256 times every second, that's 256 hertz. And again, if it vibrates at 512 times every second, that's 512 hertz. Get it? The number tells us how quickly the object is vibrating. What it doesn't automatically tell us is what emotional effect that vibration will have. This is an important distinction because you may have seen charts that say something like this: 128 hertz is great for grounding, or 256 balances emotions, or 512 hertz deals with mental clarity. Those descriptions may come from a particular healing tradition or sound practice, and somebody may absolutely experience those tones as calming, grounding, or centering, but science has not established those exact emotional efforts as universal medical fact. And I think we can hold both things at once. We can be curious about spiritual and energetic practices while still being honest about what the science evidence actually shows. I have my own set of tuning forks sitting right by me right now, and the information that comes with them says 128 is for grounding and centering, and 256 hertz is for balancing emotional states. 512 hertz is for enhanced mental clarity. And when I read that, one of the first questions I asked is, what about the pain in my shoulder? Could I use these? Could I use one of these frequencies for pain? And this is where it gets interesting. The 128 hertz tuning fork actually is very familiar in conventional medicine. Doctors, nurses, podiatrists, and neurologists commonly use 128 hertz tuning forks to test whenever someone can feel vibration, particularly when evaluating nerve function. And I'm here to tell you, with someone with CMT, Charcot-Marie-Tooth, every time I go in to see my wonderful Dr. Walk, he uses a tuning fork on me and then watches his watch to see how long I can feel at the frequency. So these tuning forks are still being used in modern science. But 50 years ago, they were used more commonly when you went to your family doctor. So we absolutely know that the nervous system detects that vibration. But there's a big difference between saying we can use 128 hertz to test vibration sensitivity and saying 128 treats pain. These are not the same claim. At this point, there isn't enough strong evidence showing that a handheld 128, 256, or 512 hertz tuning fork has a specific, predictable therapeutic effect on pain. Now, those frequencies can work on me for pain, but it may not work on somebody else. And so that's what the research is trying to show, which ones consistently help with pain. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to experience pain relief. It means that we don't want to oversell what science has demonstrated. And here's where science becomes really fascinating, at least for me. Researchers are studying vibration and pain, and one area is called vibroacoustic therapy. Vibroacoustic therapy uses low-frequency sound delivered through something like a chair, table, bed, mattress, or another surface. So you aren't simply hearing the sound, you are physically feeling the vibration throughout your body. And this is very different from listening to music through a set of speakers. Researchers have investigated low-frequency vibration with people experiencing different kinds of pain. A review published in 2022 looked at vibroacoustic therapy in adults with pain and found that the approaches varied quite a bit, but one of the frequencies that appeared repeatedly was 40 Hz. Other researchers have used broader low-frequency ranges, including frequencies between roughly 16 and 160 Hz. There has also been studies involving people with fibromyalgia. One study uses 40 Hz low-frequency sound simulation and found improvements in several areas, including pain and overall functioning. Now I want to emphasize the word preliminary. This does not mean science has discovered a magical 40 Hz pain frequency. It means researchers have seen enough interesting results to continue studying it. And I find that exciting because it tells us that vibration is not merely a spiritual concept. Physical vibration interacts with our own sensory systems. Researchers are actively trying to understand what that interaction might mean therapeutically. So now we come to the question I know many of you are going to ask. Is there a frequency that puts the nervous system into safety? And the answer is not exactly. Not in the way you might expect. There is no scientifically established musical tone where we can say the number of hertz equals safety. It isn't 128, it isn't 256, it isn't 432, and it isn't 528. Your nervous system is much more complex than that. But scientists have found something really interesting when they look at the frequency of breathing. Research into heart rate variability, which is sometimes called resonance frequency breathing, has found that many adults have a cardiovascular response somewhere around 0.1 hertz. Now, what does that mean? Remember, hertz simply means cycles per second. So 0.1 hertz is about one full cycle every 10 seconds. In terms of breathing, that comes out to approximately 6 breaths per minute. Not exactly 6 for everyone. Some people's individual resonance rate may be a little slower or faster. But around 5 to 6 breaths per minute is a common range in this research. And when people breathe around that rhythm, researchers can observe change in heart rate variability and blood pressure regulation. In other words, there really is a measurable rhythm in the body associated with regulation, just not in the way those frequency charts usually describe it. Let's actually explore this. If slowing your breathing ever makes you feel dizzy or uncomfortable, just return to your normal breathing. There is no need to force anything. I'd like you to take a deep breath in, about 5 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and breathe out slowly, like you're breathing through a straw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nothing exaggerated, nothing forced, just slow. One complete breath every 10 seconds. That gives us roughly 6 breaths per minute. And that is close to the cardiovascular resonance frequency researchers have identified in many adults. I think this is fascinating because it shows us something very tangible. When we change the rhythm of our breathing, we can actually influence other rhythms within the body. Our heart rhythm responds. Our blood pressure regulation responds. Our autonomic nervous system responds. This is the one reason breathing practices can feel so powerful. It is not simply positive thinking. There is physiology happening. And here is the part I really want people to take home. There is no single sound, no single breathing technique, no single meditation, no single frequency, no single practice that is perfect for every nervous system. For one person, regulation may be silence. For another person, music. For someone else, walking outside, humming, prayer, meditation, rocking, drumming, vibration, a warm shower, holding your pet, sitting with someone they trust. And sound itself is incredibly personal. Think about the difference between hearing a smoke alarm, a baby crying, ocean waves, someone screaming, your favorite song, your grandmother's voice, the laughter of someone you love. Those are all sounds, but your nervous system does not respond only to their frequency. It responds to meaning, memory, volume, rhythm, predictability, context, your relationship with that sound. This is why one person's soothing music can make another person irritated. And it is also why I think one of the most valuable questions we can ask is not, what is the perfect frequency, but how is my body responding? Did my shoulders drop? Did I exhale? Did my jaw soften? Did my thoughts slow down? Or did I become tense, restless, overwhelmed? Your body gives you information, and learning to notice that information is part of regulation. So in every podcast, I always want to include the science and the scientists behind what I have learned and what I'm sharing with you. So in this week's episode, we have Stephen Porges, and he is behind the Polyvagal Theory. And then we have Bruce McEwen, allostatic load. And then we have the HRV breathing, which is around 0.1 hertz. And we also talked about vibroacoustic therapy. And the ideal sweet spot there is 40 hertz. Regulation before revelation. When our entire system is sounding the alarm, when our breathing is shallow, when our muscles are tense, when our thoughts are racing, it becomes very difficult to tell the difference between fear and intuition. Everything feels urgent. Everything feels important. Everything feels like something we need to solve right now. But when our nervous system has enough space to settle, something else can emerge, and we can ask, what do I actually want? What do I really know? What feels aligned? And what doesn't? What belongs to me? What am I carrying for someone else? Regulation doesn't magically give us the answer. It creates enough quiet for us to hear ourselves our own inner voice. And that is where your inner compass comes in. So this week, I want you to become curious about your own rhythms. Not judgmental, but curious. Notice when your breathing changes. Notice when your jaw tightens. Notice when your shoulders rise. Notice when your body braces. And then notice the opposite. Who makes you exhale? What music softens you? Does humming change something? Does slowing breathing change something? Does vibration feel comforting? What makes your body feel like it can stop working so hard? Those are clues. And over time, those clues become a map. There is still so much we don't understand about the nervous system. There is so much we are still learning about sound, vibration, pain, breathing, human connection, and consciousness. And for me, science doesn't take away that mystery. It makes the mystery even more extraordinary. Because the more we learn about the human body, the more we realize how interconnected everything really is. You are not one frequency. You are not one nervous system state. You are not supposed to be calm every second of your life. You are adaptable, responsive, rhythmic, and capable of returning. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Inner Compass podcast. Next week, we'll continue our journey through living in resonance as we explore how relationships affect our nervous system and why human connection can be one of the most powerful forms of regulation. Until next time, keep breathing, keep listening, keep trusting, and remember, your inner compass already knows the way home. Awaken, remember, rise.